Hello and welcome to part 18 of my rock creation series. And in this video I want to take a look at material functions and material instances. But before I do that, I want to show what I did in the meantime, because I did some experimenting with some different resolution of textures. And this one I have connected up here. As you can see, it's a 8192 pixels texture, looking like this. So it's a fairly high one, high resolution. And as you can see, it's imported at 8192 resolution, but it's displaying something else, and that's because I have level of detail under here with MIP gem settings set to sharpen 5. So if I were to select no MIP maps, that means that it would basically use the full resolution imported resolution here all the time. And as far as I understand, this is not going to be optimal for your graphics card, because it's going to have to load in that huge texture all the time, even at a very far distance. So that's what you want to have when you import something as big as this one. As you can see now, it says displayed 8100 and something. So if we take a look at if I save that, and take a look at the texture now, we can see that it's fairly high quality and fairly high detailed. You can see a lot of the detail here. And if we take a look at the material itself, it's just taking actually it's starting to become quite a mess in here, and I've been testing out all kinds of things, and probably I don't want all of this to be here. And if I were to make some more stones, I would probably go and create some kind of rock texture framework or some kind of master material for this. And that's actually why I want to talk about material functions. So for example, one thing, we have the grass texture here, and we have that's actually the moss texture, and then we have a grassy texture down here. So if we take a look at that texture, we can see it's here. So what we can do with a material function is to pack away some of that all that spaghetti stuff inside a material function, and it's actually not so different from just creating a normal function if you've been working with normal functions inside blueprints. So it's basically just a way of packing things away and then returning something. So if we right click out here under materials and textures, we can find the material function, and people usually call material functions for something like MF material function, for example grass. And when we open that up, we'll get this output result. So this guy here is actually consisting of, if we take a look at this node here, it's actually consisting of all of that. That's what it's gonna be returning. You can type in break material attributes or make material attributes, actually this one, and that allows us to plug in this one. So that's going to allow us to get something similar to our texture in here. If we just maximize that a bit. So for example, if I wanted to pack away some of that logic with that texture here, the grassy texture, and wanted to reuse that in several other materials, but I don't want to go through each and every material and change them, I could then refer to that material function I'm just creating here, mf grass. So instead of that, I would then plug in something like this and say this is my base color of grass. And let's see if I close this one up and also this one. So that means that instead of having this grass here, I could type in mf. I might have to save that. Doesn't find that. Okay. Do I need to pull it in? Ah, okay, there we go. But then you can see it's coming out like this, and that means that you will have to break the material attribute, and then you can pull out that base color here. So that's almost the same. The only difference is that we had some tiling with the close object scaled packed away in here. That's something we might need to replicate inside that material grass in here. So something pull out here and then plug in there. And you might be wondering why go through all that the work of putting it somewhere else, just to get this because it's kind of looking more complex now than it was before. But if you think of it, it's a good way of packing away things only related to the grass texture or the grass material. So in case, for example, we wanted something like a normal map also coming from that, it would start to get pretty complex in here. So that's a good way to pack it away in here. So we don't have currently a normal map for the grass. So in order to generate that, I'm gonna open up Endo, which is part of the Quick Suite, and I'm gonna pull in my grass texture here as well. Did I click it? Oh, here it is. Okay, so once we get that up, we can say, I think it's photo normal presets. And then we can say, for example, medium standard. I think there's a ton of different presets here. I think medium standard is going to be okay. And then select to be using the active document here. So that means it's going to take this picture here and it's going to try and create from that color information. Not entirely sure what it does, but it's going to create some kind of normal map for us here. So it's going to be looking like this. And that means that we can save this as some kind of, let's save it the same place. Okay, and then just pull it in here, here. And we can connect this one up as well, so it's tiling similarly, and then plug it into the normal. So that's the stuff that we now have inside the material function. So we have the base color, grass texture, and then we have the normal map, which we just plug in here, and then we're gonna output everything as it is here. So once we get back to the material itself, then that means that we can now pull out a normal here. And right now we have a normal already, so just get rid of that. We can, I think it's okay to just add these two together. So I think we can add this one and this one, and that should give us some normal information from the grassy texture. So it's just looking a bit weird. Let's see, what did I do? Did I save this one? Okay, there we go. Okay. So what we have now is a texture which is being returned from the material function with normal information. So in case you have some grass with a lot of noise, which you probably want, some noise, it's gonna also be incorporated into the map or the texture itself. So I think this is a good way if you kind of start to build up some kind of generic, because these are going to be generic, the grass material is going to be generic, and if you have some kind of detail map which is also going to be generic, then it's a good way of putting away the things which are specific for that generic texture. To put that way in a material function. So in this case I would probably do something similar to this by, for example, packing away this seamless rock texture. So let's see if I have something I can use. This one looks pretty generic. Can't really resist. Called seamless stone texture. Okay, so I think this one is a picture I took close to my work. I found a stone and pretty sure this one. Let me just check. Maybe not. Well, I'm pretty sure this one is. Anyway, doesn't really matter. But just like that, just like we did with the material function for the grass, we can build a similar one. Material function like this, and then we can pack away the stuff with the. I'm just gonna find it. Let's just use this one. Pack that stuff away. Actually, not that one. Make material attribute and plug this one into the base color, and let's just grab that same part here. We have the same object scale logic. Plug that in here, and in a similar way as we did with let me just export this one. I forgot where I put it. So there we go. And then I'm gonna pull it inside Photoshop, and didn't want to click that one actually, but since we got a texture out of it anyway, I think it's gonna be okay. I'm not really sure what happens when I press that, if it uses a different, I think it uses maybe a different what happens if I press that one? Okay, it's working on something. Not entirely sure what I did there. I just meant to take, okay, well, I just meant to take that texture and apply generate a normal map, but well, this does actually seem to be looking pretty good. So I'm just gonna export that, save as. And let me call it gray, Rock104, and And notice it's okay to save it as a Photoshop file, actually, because Unreal Engine allows us to just import that. So I'm pulling it in here and drag it in here and plug that in here, and also the scaling stuff. That means that our generic texture is going to look like this. So I'm pretty happy with this. So let's save those and save that. And then see, we have that generic texture here. So I'm gonna pull in my material function for the rock, delete that one, and then break that open. And plug in the base color here. Okay, so now comes a kind of tricky part, because I have a normal map from that one which I kind of want to also apply onto this one, and I'm pretty sure I need, because I do that using the world align blend here. If I just maximize this a little bit, so I use a lerp here, so I'm pretty sure I need to do something similar with the normal. I'm just going to try that out. So I'm going to plug in the alpha here, and I'm going to take the so actually yeah, I'm going to take the normal map from this one and lerp that with the normal map from the rock. And then I'm gonna, because I also want to have the grass, but I only want that if I have some vertex color paint. Let's see, this one goes in here. So actually what I want, that's something different here. Okay, so I want to have the grass goes into the B here. So I want the grass to go into the B down here. And I want the rock normal to be going into the A here. And that's going to lerp these two together. And then we're going to add that together with the texture here, and now it's upset about something. Let me just take a look. Invalid pixel normal. Okay, the normal needs to go into this one instead, and then it should work. So let's save that, and let's take a look at the stone. Well, it's not like I can see that much of a difference, but we should be getting some kind of generic normal information now from both the rock and for the grass itself by using this approach here. And then obviously if you want to be using that mossy texture, you can make a new one, a material function moss or whatever, and then also lerp that along just using the paint colors here, and that would produce something similar. So right now I am thinking I need to clean this up a little bit. But I don't want to do that on video. I am gonna do that off video, and once I'm done with that, I'm gonna save everything as a complete package, and so the people that donated to my channel so far would get this material with this rock here, and I'll try to supply also all the textures that I created or have here, plus maybe a few more, depending on how I put this together. But before I end this video, I also wanted to take a look at how we can experiment a little bit cleaner or a little bit easier with these things. And we can do that by creating a material instance. So if we find our material, I think this is the one called B, we can create a material instance. Right click that and say material instance. I think people tend to call this MI, and probably not inst at the end, actually. Something like this, MI test folder something. And that's gonna, once we click that, show up the material inside the material instance view here. And when you look at the material instances, this shows us what the material instance is based on. So it's kind of like this is the child, and the material, this one is the parent. It's kind of similar to that. And in order to make it a little bit easier to tweak things, so you don't have to recompile everything all the time, what we can do is to expose some of these settings in the material instance, and then do the tweaking inside the material instance instead of the material itself. So for example, this one, the blend sharpness, if we convert this to a parameter, and also the blend bias, convert to a parameter, and we give it a name. So if we call this one, just for now, give it the same name. And we do the same with this one. Okay. And then save this one. So that means when we open up our material instance, we now have access to these settings. So if you remember when I was tweaking these settings here, if I wanted to say, let's see how this looks with a value of, okay, so this one is actually, this is actually changing immediately. Interesting. Okay. Let's try this one, the specular, because normally you would want this to be 0, so, but I'm just gonna test this specular. And let's say we want a different value. So this is a slider, so we set this from 0 to 1, and then I don't know if this makes any difference at all. Let's see what has this. Okay, so currently it still has the material. It's not instead of applying. The idea is you instead of applying your material, you would instead apply the material instance, and that will allow you to tweak these values here on the run without having to recompile everything all the time. But apparently I cannot come up with a good example of this right now. Let me just try something. Let's do this. The distant, Oh no, this is not being used at all. Okay, so this one. This is used for the distance blend. And we don't have that active yet at the moment. Okay, so doesn't really make any sense. Distance distance blend distance. It's a funny name. But let's see if we have one of the others. Could we maybe use? Apparently not. So what I'm going to do instead, because right now I'm just fumbling around, I am going to take my material instance. There you go. Here. And I'm going to check this one and check this one. So that means that we can now tweak. If we pay attention to the material out here, we can tweak the blend bias. And as you can see, it's going to update more or less in real time. So it's going to make it way easier for us to tweak this to some values that we like this to have. So say we are happy with this, we could just save this. So that's, even though it was a bit messy, I hope this gave an impression of what we can use material instances for. I also believe this is what the material itself is what people refer to as the master material, but don't quote me for it. I'm not entirely sure actually. So for now, as you can see, we introduced a material function, and we also converted the material, created a material instance based on our material here, which then in turn allows us to expose a set of parameters and then tweak this. So it also allows us to, apart from tweaking things alive, it also allows us to, for example, make a different material instance. And with this material instance, we could have a different set of values. So let's say we wanted something maybe entirely rocky like that. We could just save that, and they're actually both using that exact same material, but if you apply this material instance, you're just going to get something completely different, and it's just a good and easy way to reuse things. So I hope you can see the point of this. Anyway, thank you for watching this, and I will be seeing you in the next. Bye bye.